I say, what? You're gonna release me?
No, it isn't about that. Don't you understand that after all this conversation, you're not being released?
This is Rocky Rambo Wei Nam Kam, a 26-year-old economics graduate living in Canada. Today, Vancouver police have brought him in under suspicion of the murder of Dianna Mah-Jones, 64, and Richard Jones, 68. Right now, he thinks it's just a suspicion. Still, he has no idea that an investigation that involved over 240 VPD employees who canvassed 1,000 homes and businesses had collected surveillance footage of Rocky in the neighborhood and captured him driving Diana's car from the scene of the murder. But Rocky's biggest mistake was what he left behind, the hatchet. By the time the interrogation starts, police already had Rocky's DNA and had matched it to the scene. When the investigative team followed Rocky in the weeks before his arrest, they sent in an undercover cop. She followed Rocky to the grocery store where she asked him to open a bottle of water for her, which he did, sealing his fate and providing the fingerprints the forensic team needed. When Rocky enters the interrogation room, he doesn't look like what you'd expect. He seems completely unaffected, slamming the piece of paper notifying him of his arrest on the table. He seems almost annoyed that he's there in the first place. His body language shows no signs of stress, no fidgeting, no tapping his fingers or feet. He's completely at ease. That ease continues as Rocky says that he was given an opportunity to speak to a lawyer. This is crucial in an interview. When a lawyer isn't present, police can legally withhold facts and evidence and even slightly bend the truth to get the desired outcome.
And is your lawyer attending the police station?
Well, what?
Is Ron, is he coming to the police station? Do you know if he's coming?
No, I don't think he's coming.
Okay.
This is risky for suspects. It means they're fair game, and this is usually how they entrap themselves. The interviewer asks general questions to ensure Rocky is of sound mind, but when he gets to Rocky's name, Rocky has an unexpected reaction. He starts laughing. It's so bizarre that even the interviewer pauses and asks why he's laughing.
You don't like all of the names or some of the names?
Rocky Rambo. Do you know Rocky Rambo?
Well, I know a Rocky Rambo, yeah.
You look like Rocky Rambo, do you?
Not much, no.
The charges are serious, but Rocky is acting like he isn't worried about it whatsoever. His answer is lighthearted. He says he doesn't like his name. The interviewer laughs with him, but this is a tactic. If he bonds with Rocky, Rocky continues to feel at ease. If the suspect feels calm for long enough, when the interview suddenly turns and becomes stressful, they're caught off guard and more likely to break. Rocky goes on to say that kids are mean, alluding to the fact that he was probably bullied for his name when he was younger.
Yeah, kids are mean.
Huh?
Kids are mean.
Yeah.
So, well.
Oh, well, you know.
Well, but everyone could, after they know my name, they could surely know me, like Rocky Rambo.
Who?
Oh, that guy.
When you meet people, you mean?
Yeah.
This is an odd thing to say. Rocky killed 2 people. Yet the idea of children taunting him seems to bother him more than the situation he finds himself in now. Rocky is then offered a bottle of water and asked to go to the bathroom.
Chris is going to get you a bottle of water.
Okay.
Did you want anything else? You said a snack?
Maybe I should go to the washroom.
You want to go to the washroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
So far, nothing seems to be wrong. Everything is proceeding as it should, and there's no obvious tension. When he's back, he asks for a snack. Again, this is baffling and shows just how removed he is from the situation. Generally, when a person is being questioned for murder, whether they did it or not, there's a level of stress that would make eating difficult. But for Rocky, it's no problem. It's not long after this that the interviewer concludes his administrative questions. Then he leaves the room. This is yet another tactic used by police. Rocky has bonded with the interviewer, laughing with him and being treated well. To Rocky, he seemed like an easy challenge, and he probably felt confident he could outmaneuver this character. Rocky is left alone for an extended period of time. This isn't random. It's meant to cause discomfort and make the suspect stew as they go over whatever story they've crafted in their head. Rocky spends 37 minutes alone in the room, showing no signs of stress. He just seems bored. He drinks water, sighs, and walks around a bit. At one point, he does seem to become slightly nervous and fidgets with his hands, but this could just indicate boredom rather than anxiety. Eventually, a female interviewer enters the room. She starts the conversation casually and even comes across as sweet. She gently explains to Rocky that there are a lot of people they need to talk to and rule out.
I've come in to talk to you about what's going on because I'm sure you're wondering what's happening. And there's a lot happening, of course, in an investigation like this. Pretty often there's a lot of people that we need to talk to, and we need to clarify their involvement, if any, and move through some of these things.
She's not outwardly accusing Rocky, yet she's also using a psychological tactic to disarm Rocky. If she doesn't seem like a threat, then he doesn't need to be on guard.
Yeah, make sure you let me know, Rocky, if there's anything you need for your comfort today. Like the bathroom or something to eat, or how's your health? Do you need medication at all, or?
No.
No? You're good?
Good.
Good. Yeah, sometimes people are, they're sick people and they need their medicine from home, so we've got to get that for them. So thought I'd ask you that. You're under audio and video recording now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand you had a chance to talk to a lawyer.
Yes.
That's good.
Rocky seems bored. She asks how the police treated him during the arrest, and if someone promised him that something good would happen if he agreed to comply.
When you were dealt with this morning by the police, or this afternoon, I guess, how did they treat you?
What do you mean?
Well, how were you treated? Were you treated well? Do you feel...
Surprise, of course.
Yeah, you're surprised. Okay. That makes sense to me. But did anybody do anything that you thought was kind of rough, or said anything to you like you had to talk with the police today, or something bad would happen?
No.
Did somebody say something good would happen if you cooperated with the police today?
No.
Yeah, that's good. Because if someone did or said something like that, that is not in effect, and we don't operate like that. So it's entirely up to you to, cooperate. And I appreciate how pleasant you've been, and it makes it a lot nicer for me.
This is just so police can cover their tracks and ensure that there was no coercion or deceit involved during the arrest that could cause problems when it came to obtaining the confession. But Rocky says no. The interviewer continues her gentle approach, even saying that she appreciates that Rocky isn't being a beast.
It makes it a lot nicer for me when I have to come and talk to somebody and they're not a beast about it,
This is another tactic used to make Rocky think she's on his side, that he's merely a suspect and not a monster. Rocky says he had an understanding of why he's there, but he seems confused, as if he doesn't know why he'd be associated with it.
So do you have any understanding of why you're here today?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your understanding of the reason you're here today?
They said I'm under arrest for 2 counts of murder.
Yeah, do you know anything about that?
The name of it.
Do you know those people? No, you don't know them.
It's a believable act. The interviewer asks if Rocky knew the couple that was murdered, but Rocky says no. That's his first lie. Rocky knows exactly why he's there and who the couple are. What he doesn't know is that the case was already closed. The DNA, the evidence, everything all pointed to him. The interviewer gently tries to get Rocky to reveal what he does know about the case. Maybe something he'd seen in the news.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. Have you heard about anything about this in the news or anything like that?
I don't watch news.
Oh, you know. That's smart, because the news will get you depressed for sure.
This is a ploy to get Rocky to disclose details that weren't made public, but Rocky sidesteps this by saying he doesn't watch the news. A new tactic is needed. Once more, Rocky shows no obvious signs of stress. The interviewer tries a new method, slowly introducing pieces of evidence into the interrogation.
So then, yeah, the reason that you're here, Rocky, is that, you're one of many people that we've talked to, and there's been times when we've seen you in the neighborhood, so we knew that you lived nearby, and so that's one of the reasons why we're talking to you here, among a few other things as well. But it's helpful to me to learn that you didn't know those people.
She tells Rocky that they'd spotted him on surveillance camera in the area and they knew he lived nearby. Rocky doesn't really react, even if he isn't aware of this information. She then shows him a picture of the couple, trying to gauge a response, but there's nothing.
Here they are here. Do you recognize those folks?
I have nothing to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have nothing to say.
Okay. All right. So with regard to these people, are they familiar or neighborly with you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Rocky only betrays his inner thoughts slightly. When asked if he recognized the couple, he pauses, looks away, and instead of denying it, he says that he has nothing to say. This is an obvious sign of knowing. But then again, most lawyers advise their clients to stay completely silent, neither confessing nor denying. She repeats the question again, and Rocky smiles almost sheepishly.
So obviously this brings up something emotional for you, Rocky. You seem...
I don't have nothing to say.
Okay.
But this doesn't last long, and as the interviewer keeps pushing for details, he shows his annoyance, sighing and saying he doesn't want to talk about it. It's a very childlike response. He's belligerent and clearly doesn't think the situation is as grave as it is. He then adjusts his glasses, and this is the most notable sign of his discomfort. Then he begins shifting in his chair. It's subtle, but it's something. The interviewer gives him more than enough opportunity to concoct his version of the events, suggesting that the couple were possibly friends with him.
But it's my duty to make sure that I give you an opportunity to talk about that if you want to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, these things, you understand how police investigations work, I'm sure.
Rocky shifts again, and there's a slight fidget in his legs, but he doesn't take the bait. The stakes need to be raised. But no matter how the interviewer approaches it, Rocky just repeats that he has nothing to say.
So from that, I'm kind of assuming that you don't know them. No, okay. Well, thanks. Yeah, that's just basically what I wanted to know.
She changes tactics, saying she assumes he doesn't know them. By this point, Rocky won't look at her and keeps turning his head away. Whether this is belligerence, avoidance, or stress is unclear. Whatever the answer, something is taking effect. The interviewer changes tactics again, starting a casual conversation about what he's doing in Canada.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Finding jobs.
Oh, okay. Somebody told me that, actually, Simon, who arrested you, he told me that you were saying that jobs were kind of hard to come by back in Alberta. What kind of work do you do?
I know specific job that I know. At this point, I don't know.
You don't know? You're still searching?
I'm willing to do many things, but well, not much I can do.
The questions are harmless, almost as if she's just making conversation with an acquaintance. Rocky gets annoyed, which works in the interviewer's favor.
Because I think Simon told me that you also had been educated in, was it economics?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of important job, isn't it?
No.
How come? What does that get you? What kind of job would that mean? Like accounting, or what would that be?
What?
Economics.
Yeah.
What kind of job would that give you?
Working bank, kind of things.
Oh,
But,
okay.
well,
Usually when people are frustrated long enough, it leads to some sort of expulsion or outburst. She's also trying to work out a possible motive and connection. Was it job-related? Fiancé-related? If Rocky was struggling to find work, did he kill for money? Rocky admits to struggling to find work, and the pair discuss the issue of the prices in Canada.
No. So you're not working at all now?
well, a few months back, I worked some moving.
Moving company?
No, I don't know if it's a company, but well, friend, roommate
Okay.
asked me to, do you want to do some moving? Like, need some cash, kind of thing. Just
Okay.
something like that.
Good. Are you finding it less expensive, more expensive out in Vancouver here, or what?
More expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw an orange, like $7. What?
When he mentions the price of an orange, she reacts in a shocked manner. This is done to relate to him and to form a kind of rapport to disarm him. She then guides the conversation to his family, asking if there was estrangement or pressure from them to earn a living.
What do your folks do? What do your parents do?
My mom is retired. My dad is an engineer.
Oh, yeah, okay. What
I
kind of
don't know what kind of engineer.
No?
I don't know. I don't know much about his job.
He doesn't tell you?
No, I'm just not interested in engineer.
Oh, yeah. Did he want you to be an engineer?
He said he don't like engineering, actually.
Oh, really?
But, well,
But Rocky's not falling for it.
Made him
He says he
nice
still
looking
has
now.
money. He even chuckles occasionally, telling her there's no pressure from his parents whatsoever. So far, the crime doesn't seem to be motivated by money, pressure, or estrangement. So then what was the reason? Why did he slaughter two innocent strangers? The pair then discuss when Rocky moved to Canada from Hong Kong and his fluency in languages.
Are you having any problems understanding me?
if the vocabulary is difficult. I may not understand, but
Yeah.
mostly
You
yes.
You seem able to function well. Good for you to be so fluent in so many languages. That must make you valuable to employers.
Well, I try. That's one of the things I really write in the resume, but wow.
The interviewer flatters him, hoping to boost his ego and inflate his sense of self, which could lead him to trip up in his statements. But it doesn't work, so she brings up the topic of family pressure again, still trying to dig at the motive, but once again, Rocky says there's no pressure. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, surprising Rocky.
Let's see.
For almost an hour, he's been in a casual conversation with the interviewer, and now there was the possibility someone new would be introduced. This would induce anxiety in an ordinary person, but then again, Rocky was by no means ordinary. But it's just Rocky's snack arriving. The interviewer hands him his sandwich and places hers on the table. The pair will sit and break bread together, but first, she'll make him wait. He says he needs to go to the bathroom. She tells him to hold on while she fetches the napkins. Now Rocky is hungry, tired, and needs to use the bathroom. This is all designed to break him down. The door opens again, and it's the man Rocky met at the start of the interview.
Hey Rocky, how are you doing?
Alright, good.
I'm going to find napkins, so I'll just get you some towel. Did you want the bathroom again?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
He's bringing in paper towels, but the female interviewer said she was getting them, so why was someone else bringing them? What was she doing? This was another tactic to disorient and induce anxiety. If Rocky was feeling any stress, he didn't show it. Rocky is then taken to the bathroom. When he comes back, he immediately begins unwrapping his sandwich, not waiting for the interviewer to come back and join him. She comes back soon after, carrying extra documents with her. For the next 4 minutes, they discuss Rocky's siblings.
How old is your brother? Is he older than you?
7 years.
So he's in his 30s already. So he's a little ahead of you. He should have a little more than you.
He's 7 years older than me.
Yeah.
Then she asks a strange question to catch Rocky off guard.
So where did you go to school?
College?
Where?
College?
Where?
You mean university? Calgary?
Was it hard?
No.
She asks him what he wishes the police knew about him. Rocky is visibly confused and suspicious, asking why. The interviewer replies that it's because he's under arrest for murder.
What do you wish we knew about you?
What?
Is there anything you wish I knew about you to tell people, the investigators?
Why? Why?
Well, because, I don't know, you're under arrest for murder, so you'd think you'd be saying, listen, no, I'm...
It's the first time she's come out and leveled the charges against him. Now she wants to know why he isn't trying to defend himself. She asks him what he was doing on September 26th, allowing him to concoct an alibi. But even with this opportunity, Rocky has nothing to say.
Here's what I want you to know. Like, for instance, I'd be super interested in your, what you were doing on the 26th of September. Because if I can get an alibi, do you know what an alibi is?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, if there's an alibi, I can go and...
I don't think I have anything to say.
Okay.
The interviewer acts unfazed and continues eating before suggesting there would be an emotional benefit to talking. Rocky says it won't work and that he won't change his mind. This sparks a tone shift, and the interviewer says that she's done this more times than he has.
I've done this more times than you.
Yeah, no.
Trust me.
Rocky stops eating, realizing that the pleasantries are over. He asks how long they're going to hold him. It's important to note that he hadn't asked that question once during the hour of questioning he'd already undergone. The seriousness of the situation was getting to him, and he knew there was more evidence than he'd thought. The tone shifts once more to casual questions about his sleep and emotions.
How are you doing? How are you feeling these days?
Right now, not so good.
No. How are you sleeping at night?
Hmm?
How are you sleeping at night?
Good. What? Like what?
The questions seem irrelevant, but they're all building up to something. Rocky mentions something about crying, and when the interviewer asks if he'd been crying about the murder, he snaps. He says he doesn't know the guy. This is the first time Rocky has actively denied something, and it was also his second lie. The interviewer keeps pushing for more, but Rocky just continues eating. Eventually, she admits they have a lot of evidence on him. Rocky begins brushing the crumbs off his shirt, seemingly uninterested. But is this a ploy, or is he genuinely not concerned? It's impossible to tell.
And we have a number of people that we've talked to. And we have a lot of evidence. And some of it, we're not quite sure what it means. And if something makes sense, then, or doesn't make sense, I mean, really, you're the only one that can set us straight, right? Otherwise, we'll be on the wrong track, which I don't want to be.
He keeps fidgeting as she explains that the police need him to clarify what he knows. Then she asks about Dianna Mah-Jones and if he knows her. Rocky snaps again, saying they weren't friends, but then catches himself. He's revealed too much. He reverts back to telling the interviewer he has nothing to say.
So you said you didn't know that guy. What about the girl?
I'm afraid I didn't say I have nothing to say.
Okay. Well, I can understand that.
It's over an hour and 13 minutes before Rocky says something police could even remotely use as a possible motive. He says he wants to play video games. It's simple and innocuous, but could hold the clue to everything. But this clue would only be revealed much, much later. The conversation then takes another turn when the interviewer says that Rocky has more power in the interrogation than he thinks. Rocky says he doesn't have any and that this feels like a trap. He's right, it is a trap. The interviewer wants it to seem like she's handing over the reins of power to him, so he'll say something that will incriminate him. But Rocky's got more insight than anticipated. A new strategy would need to be implemented.
You're not patient? You know why you're not patient?
I don't think anyone will be patient to like hold here to, well, without anything. Like, I want to play video games, but well, that's not much of a choice.
No, we don't have a lot of video games, Rocky. That's true.
So I'm forced to not play video games.
The conversation continues, exploring Rocky's likes, dislikes, and history in school. It takes an interesting turn when the interviewer asks if he drove or flew to Vancouver from Calgary.
When you came out here, Rocky, did you drive out or fly out?
What do you mean, came here?
When you came here to Vancouver, did you drive or did you fly?
Fly.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a car.
You don't have a car?
Actually, yeah.
This leads to Rocky admitting he doesn't drive much, as a year ago he was in a serious accident that resulted in someone getting badly hurt. Rocky seems affected by this, adding that he isn't allowed to see the woman who was injured in the wreck. The interviewer ascertains that there's some level of emotion here and asks if he wants to go see her to apologize. Rocky doesn't directly answer this question, but instead circles around it, saying he doesn't think he'd be allowed to. The interviewer tries to follow this new emotional trail Rocky has displayed, asking him if it upsets him. Rocky says yes, but he can't seem to figure out why. It's this moment that highlights that although Rocky is capable of feeling remorse to an extent, he can't intellectualize the feeling and is still somewhat detached from it. This leads to another question.
Is that where these scratches came from? Is the car crash?
No.
Okay. Because you have kind of a serious cut there. What is that?
What? Which one?
This here. And this.
That's the cops.
Oh, the handcuffs. Oh, yeah, it looks kind of red. It looks like an old scar, but it's just handcuffs.
The interviewer notices some scratches on Rocky's arms. She likely suspects these are defensive wounds incurred during the struggle with Dianna and Richard, but Rocky deflects, saying it was from the handcuffs. Realizing she's not getting anywhere this way, the interviewer reverts to finding a possible motive. She and Rocky discuss pressure and how it can make people do things they regret.
Yeah, I find that is a huge frustration for people about your age. You know, that
What age?
25, 22 to 25, people start really getting a lot of pressure from themselves and from their family to find a good job.
No, I don't think so, but if you say yes, sure.
Yeah, that is my experience. I mean, I don't know if I told you this, but I work in the polygraph unit.
What is polygraph?
Polygraph is like lie detection machine.
No.
You know the thing? And when I do that kind of work, I'm often doing pre-employment interviews. So before someone gets hired as a policeman, they have to come have an interview with me.
Oh.
Yeah.
But Rocky sees this for what it is, another trap. He chuckles and says he has nothing to say. But the interviewer isn't letting up. It's been nearly 2 hours, and so far she's circled round and round before coming back to the topic of motive. While it's clear she's been dealing with interrogations for years and knows what she's doing, so far Rocky has proven to be a worthy opponent. It's then that another important moment takes place.
It's you know, when I think about this particular case, it's a lot of people don't even want to talk to somebody that they suspect of this crime. They don't want to. Here, but they you know, they kind of write that person off.
Right what?
Write them off, or sort of, they don't even want to talk to them or hear them out. And so I'm not that person.
By now, both Rocky and the interviewer are done eating. Rocky used his napkin and drank from his water bottle. He's placed them all in the garbage bag on the table. He doesn't realize that this was a sly move on the part of the police. Now his DNA is everywhere. But before he notices this potential problem, the interviewer steers the conversation back on track, telling him she's patient and can wait for him to start revealing details. Rocky, on the other hand, has clearly demonstrated that he's impatient. But despite this character flaw, he's still not divulging any information.
I think that's true. There's, you know, there's a lot that's gone on, Rocky, and I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's clear that they're not making any headway, and so the interviewer decides it's time to cut to the chase and show Rocky the evidence. Rocky scratches his head, sighs, and shows obvious signs of resistance. Whatever it is, he doesn't want to see it, but he acknowledges that she's going to show him anyway.
You got evidence, something? I don't know.
Why do you think that's what's happened to you before that night isn't important?
I don't know what night you're talking about, actually.
This is a clear avoidance of what he's done, but probably not for the reasons we think. It's not because Rocky is disturbed by the evidence, it's more that it's an inconvenience. The interviewer scoots close to Rocky, shakes his hand, and tells him she won't lie to him. This is another way of relating to him, bonding with him, and almost humanizing his actions. But Rocky clearly doesn't subscribe to the same emotional tactics that other people do. Any attempt to connect with him is futile. The emotive context fails, and when the interviewer says that she thinks she's the only person in Rocky's life that will tell him the truth, Rocky says, "No, not actually. This was a pivotal moment."
No, actually, but...
Okay, well, good. I'm
you gotta show me anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you have a support system.
What may have worked with any other perpetrator has failed. So far, every tactic has. A short while later, the interviewer takes the garbage bag from the room. Rocky still doesn't seem to realize he's willingly given away his DNA. She leaves the room, and once again, Rocky is left to his thoughts, mulling over what is going to happen next. Over the next half hour or so, the interviewer comes in and out, with the objective being to further compound boredom and stress for Rocky. When she comes back in, she's ready for a showdown.
This is a ball cap. Have you ever seen that before?
Maybe.
Tell me about it.
I don't know.
She begins showing Rocky what was found at the scene, but Rocky's unmoved. She points out the hat found in the kitchen before moving on to the second picture of the hatchet. Rocky is emotionless, and as the interviewer asks him questions, he's calm and shows no signs of letting up. She asks him again if he went to the house, but Rocky shuts down the question. Rocky only shows some signs of anxiety when the interviewer moves on to the image of the gloves. He is expressionless, but he absent-mindedly bites his fingers as he leans his hand against his chin.
You don't want to talk about that. How about those? Have you ever seen those gloves?
I have nothing to say about that.
This shows a small amount of stress, but still, it's not enough for him to break. She asks where in his apartment they'll find the gloves, but Rocky repeats his mantra. He has nothing to say. The interviewer changes strategy once more.
That man, he isn't a very nice guy. That man that died, he's not a very nice guy. Did you ever meet him? In the street or at the shopping mall or anything like that?
I don't want to talk about it.
If she justifies Rocky's actions, perhaps he'll come clean. But the problem is, Rocky isn't bound by any emotional constraints, at least not the same ones normal, well-adjusted people are. The interviewer claims that according to neighbors, Richard Jones wasn't a nice man. She tries to find the link between the two and asks Rocky if they met at the grocery store or on the street and whether Richard perhaps hurt his feelings. At this, Rocky chuckles, as if the idea of someone emotionally wounding him is incomprehensible.
I have nothing to say.
What's so funny?
Because I have nothing to say.
Well, that's not funny.
The random bouts of laughter could be attributed to nerves or a coping mechanism for stress. But given what we know about Rocky and what we've seen so far, that seems unlikely. It's far more likely he really just does find the whole situation laughable. The interviewer is forced to move on to more evidence. She shows Rocky the patterns of the footprints left behind at the scene and directly asks him if they're his. Rocky ignores her question, asking how much more evidence there is to go through. She answers that they're only a tenth of the way. Rocky's patience is wearing thin, and it looks like he might be close to breaking. The interviewer notices this. She explains to Rocky that in a case like this, police hunt the perpetrator. She details that his movements have been tracked far longer than he thinks. Rocky is silent. He looks down at the table and begins to swivel in his chair. He's clearly anxious and uncomfortable.
These are some footprints. You'll notice that there's a definite pattern to those shoes. Do you notice that? It's kind of got it like a on the bottom, you notice? Have you ever seen shoes like that?
How long will it gonna last?
Hmm?
How long will it gonna last? Like how much longer do you think?
Well, I would say that we're about a tenth of the way through the evidence. And I haven't shown you any evidence yet, actually. I mean, these are things that I'm trying to bring you along with me so that you'll talk to me about this.
She asks him where he was on September 13th. Rocky chuckles, but this time, although he meant it to sound arrogant, he's laughing out of fear.
Do you know what happened September 13th?
I got nothing to say.
I know you're not laughing because it's funny. I know you're laughing because you're scared.
I will try to make it.
The interviewer tells him where he was on September 13th, at the Canadian Tire shop, purchasing a kill kit. The tone shifts. Now it's accusatory, coming in hard and fast. Rocky shows traces of anxiety, subtly rocking back and forth in his chair.
I know this is scary. What?
Not that far. Well, I'm going to lose my patience. I'm kind of sure.
But unsurprisingly, Rocky clams up once again, repeating that he has nothing to say. The interviewer shows him more evidence, like the purchase receipts from the store. She then tells him how they traced it back to him using the serial number on the hatchet. Rocky had led law enforcement straight to him. Rocky is refusing to acknowledge much of what she says, looking down. She then makes a crucial point. Rocky didn't use the items he bought at Canadian Tire until 2 weeks later. This shows premeditation.
So what our investigators did, because this was left at the scene, not this one, but the one that you used. And there was a serial number on that, which is what led us to you. So then we went back and found this purchase, and we have your face at the till buying that hatchet and that hat and those gloves. Mean anything to you? Why did you buy those things? I'll tell you what I'd like to know is that these things were purchased on the 13th of September. You didn't use them for 2 weeks later. How come you bought those things?
It wasn't an impulsive act, and this point will be critical for the prosecution. There's no doubt he murdered Dianna and Richard. The point now is to find out why and if there was intent. These two things would affect whether he's tried for first-degree murder or manslaughter. Once again, the interviewer leaves Rocky alone in the interrogation room. When she comes back, she shows him the evidence of him leaving the scene in Dianna Mah-Jones' car. At this point, Rocky has received another snack and calmly eats it, unaffected by what he's seeing. He fidgets around a bit, but when asked why he drove Dianna's car, he repeats that he has nothing to say. The interviewer then tries to humanize him again by relating to him and telling him a story of when she was a girl in the country.
I'm a country girl, and when I was a kid, we used to raise chickens and pigs. And eventually the slaughter time would come, and sometimes it was always shocking to me how hard it was to kill an animal.
She describes how difficult it was to slaughter the chickens and how the mechanics of killing a human are so much worse. As she speaks, Rocky chews and swallows, completely at ease. He's a stone-cold killer, and there's no doubt about it. Even while describing the act of murder, Rocky is able to keep eating. Rocky has so far maintained his composure throughout the interrogation. He only breaks again when the interviewer tells him how they obtained his DNA, by using the pretty, undercover cop at the grocery store. The interviewer asks him if he remembers a girl with a sore arm, asking him to open her water bottle.
You were at the grocery store. Remember being at the grocery store and there was a girl there? She had a sore arm. Remember that? She had her arm in a sling and she couldn't get her bottle open. You remember that? I can see from your face that you're lighting up. You can remember that very well. Well, you were a nice guy.
Nice is not good here.
Well, listen. Those investigators are hunting a hunter.
It's at this point that recognition dawns on Rocky's face. He's been duped, and he never even knew it. The interviewer then goes over the DNA reports. Rocky doesn't want to hear about it, but he has no choice. Even as she tells him how his DNA was found under Diana's fingernails, he has no response. The interviewer lays out the details of how they caught him, trying to convey to him that there was no way out of the situation. They had him, and he knew it. But Rocky simply sighed and asked, "What's next?" There was no guilt, no remorse, no emotion, no reason for any of it.
What these reports basically say is that when Mrs. Mah-Jones was taken to the autopsy, what they did is they took fingernail clippings from her fingers, and then what they did is they did a DNA analysis under her fingernails. And so what they found was a male profile. So we had this scene with two people who'd passed away. Our forensic identification people spent days and days and days at that house analyzing blood spatter, all kinds of things at that house. We found that hatchet at the scene. One of our investigators found the serial number on that hatchet and found out that Canadian Tire is the only place that sells that. And then Canadian Tire pointed out, hey, this is the only sale of that hatchet. We'll show you the video. So they showed us that video of you buying the hatchet, the hat that happens to be the same hat that we found in the house under the kitchen table. And there were glove patterns on the walls that indicate that those are the gloves that were used in this murder. So there we have your image. We didn't know who you were at that time because, of course, you paid cash, right? So we just had your face. So what our investigators did very cleverly is they put a big box around the neighborhood because we knew you had driven that car, or, you know, that car was it was driven right near your house, and the keys were thrown in the yard, and then this running through the houses. And so we put a big box around this neighborhood, including the place where the car was parked. And we just set surveillance there for weeks. Watching, showing our surveillance people your image from the Canadian Tire, right? We said, here's the guy we're looking for. He's got the exact same items that we find at the murder scene. So they're out there day after day after day, and finally, guess what happened? It was Christmas in October. There's the guy we see at Canadian Tire. We see him walking. And you know where we saw you walking to? We saw you walk. I'm going to take your Coke. You said you didn't want it.
Yeah, I don't drink Coke.
I'm going to drink the Coke. So our clever investigators spot you. And where did you go? But you went to the Bank of Montreal. So, of course, as soon as you left, they go right in there, capture your image again, and capture your name. And so now we knew who you were. And so now we're still setting surveillance to try to find out where you live. So eventually, of course, they just followed you back to your house. So now we know who you are, we know where you live. But we're still not quite sure because we aren't, we think would be quite a coincidence that the person who bought a hatchet the same as the one at the scene, gloves, same as the pattern at the scene, and the hat, same one at the scene, would be living in the same neighborhood. What are the chances of that? But still, we had to be sure, right? So when Mrs. Mah-Jones went for her autopsy and had her fingernails clipped and there was a male DNA profile underneath her nails, well, we just knew we had to get your DNA and see if it matched the DNA under her fingernails. And so there you were, giving us your DNA at the grocery store. So that was sent in on an emergency basis. And guess what? It matches. I think it says something like 1 in 19 billion chance that it's not you. So that's impossible. It's you. And they have you on DNA. Do you want to see the report?
I don't understand that.
You don't understand what?
The report anyway.
Rocky, it's over.
At 7:34 p.m., 6 hours into the interrogation, Rocky takes another bathroom break. When he returns, he sees that the crime scene photos have been pasted across the walls. The tactic here was probably to get a visceral reaction out of Rocky, but like all the attempts before, this one was also unsuccessful. Rocky is obviously fatigued, but he maintains his composure, even as the interrogation stretches into the 7th hour. Eventually, the interviewer shows him the images of the bodies. It's now or never. If Rocky was going to respond, this would be the time to do it, but as he looks at the slaughtered remains of Dianna and Richard, he shows no emotion.
Do you know who this woman was? She worked at the woman you killed. Do you know who she was? She worked at GF Strong, and she helped people like this lady here recover. She was an occupational therapist. Well, not very many people had many good things to say about him. This lady, who was they called her, I think she was a hero of medicine. She won multiple awards for the help that she'd given people.
He just looks away and sighs. Every picture has been presented, and Rocky doesn't say a word. The only time he engages is in the 9th hour of the interrogation. He asks the interviewer her age and how long she's been on the force. It's not clear why he's asking this, possibly to intimidate. The interviewer sees that there's no way forward, and by now the tone of things has shifted completely. At the start of the interview, she was polite, amiable, and open to what Rocky might say. Now she was disgusted. She packs away evidence, clearly dissatisfied as Rocky watches.
Are you lovers? Thought not.
How are you? May I ask, how are you?
How am I?
Yeah.
Perfect. What does that mean, how are you?
How are you? Just asking your age. Sorry.
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 50.
Oh.
Why do you want to know?
Just want to know. How long have you been in the police department?
27 years.
That's long.
It is long, isn't it? I'm going to tell you how long it is, Rocky. It's been a very long time when somebody is faced with something like this, that someone opts to sit coldly and offer no apology, no remorse, no...
If I say, what? You're gonna release me?
No, it isn't about that. Don't you understand that after all this conversation, you're not being released. No matter what.
I know.
You've killed 2 people, man. You're not going anywhere. This isn't about being released.
This is about helping other people.
The interview is over. Now Rocky will be photographed and processed. He leaves the room and comes back in a jumpsuit provided by the department. From here, he'll be going straight to jail. But even as he breathes his last few breaths of fresh air as a free man, the only thing Rocky is concerned about is his dinner. He had lasted 9 hours being questioned and shown horrendous imagery of a brutal murder, yet he was still hungry. At his first court appearance, Rocky pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder. The defense argued that at the time of the killings, he was in an altered state. It was revealed that on a daily basis, Rocky played 12 to 14 hours of video games. The defense called a clinical psychologist, Dr. Edward Shen, to testify and explain the idea of gaming consciousness, whereby the individual enters a type of lucid dreaming state. The primary goal of this state is to win the game, and in this case, Rocky was in a game simulation that required him to break into a woman's house and slaughter her. The defense argued that Rocky was actually suffering from a mental disorder resulting from his exposure to violent video games. Eventually, Rocky admitted on the stand that he had killed the couple, but agreed that he was in an altered state. He revealed that on the day of the murder, he had seen Dianna Mah-Jones taking groceries into her house. He followed and attacked as she tried to close the door. He claimed he strangled her and cut her, then spotted Richard Jones coming through the back of the house. Rocky charged at Richard, stabbing him with a pocket knife. He left Richard briefly to fetch the hatchet, which he had dropped in the struggle with Dianna. When he returned to Richard, he hacked at his body repeatedly. Then he dragged the victims to the kitchen, ate a peach, and drank a glass of milk from their refrigerator. His last act before fleeing the scene was to drag the victims to the bathroom. He admitted to the court that he had no idea who the couple were. It had all been a random attack. The prosecution argued that the murders were premeditated. He had bought the kill kit weeks before the murders, and his computer search history showed he had researched stun guns and crime scene cleanups in the weeks before he killed Dianna and Richard. Ultimately, with the evidence presented, Rocky Rambo was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder. He received a life sentence. It'll be 25 years before he'll be eligible for parole. Justice Laura Jarrow noted at the hearing that there was no doubt that Rocky's violent actions were controlled and goal-oriented. This showed intent. But what's most disturbing is that there remains no motive.